Thank you so much for joining us for the session this afternoon. So before we move on to hear directly from Natasha and Sean in regard to I5, I want to tell you a little bit about the Prime Chapter UK and Ireland Seed Funding Competition. So the competition is now entering its 5th year. It was established in the 2019-2020 academic year by myself and my colleagues Claire May at Lincoln International Business School and also Matt Davis at Leeds Business School. We were supported by Jonathan Lowe, who was Natasha's predecessor as the chair of Prime Chapter UK and Ireland. And the competition really came about as a result of an awareness that there was a need for innovation within higher education in general, but within responsible management education specifically. But there were significant and substantial barriers in relation to that innovation, one of which was financial. So what I'm going to do is provide you with an overview of the elements of the competition, including the key information, the closing date, and so forth. So in terms of the background of the competition, really that aim, as I had mentioned, is to support the development of innovative pedagogic approaches and teaching practices aligned with the objectives of Prime. So the thing that I want to highlight here is that the objectives of Prime are really quite broad and they encompass anything related to responsible and sustainable business and management education. As a result, we've had a very wide range of applications, including successful applications over the last 4 to 5 years. So everything from tourism and supply chain management to accounting to analytics, human resource management or so forth. Essentially, if you can teach it within a business and management school and it's got an element of social responsibility, sustainability, business ethics and so forth to it, then it likely sits within the ambit or the objectives of the competition. If you're ever unsure, you can please reach out via the prime@bcu.ac.uk email address and we can provide clarification about whether the project likely aligns with the aims of the competition. So applications are particularly welcome in relation to initiatives that are interdisciplinary in nature or addressing topics that are currently underrepresented. And again, we define interdisciplinary very broadly in regards to the competition. And so it could be interdisciplinary within a business school context. So for example, maybe bringing together accounting and HRM or analytics and supply chain and so forth. So we take that as quite a wide definition of interdisciplinary. Similarly, in terms of underrepresented, it could be something that is perhaps underrepresented in the context of your school or within the part of the UK or Ireland in which you are located. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that it is underrepresented across the whole of the globe. So there should be, and this is something that's really important, a clear benefit to the UK and Ireland chapter, for example, in relation to transferable learning or resources. So the competition is funded out of the contributions that are made by the various members of Prime Chapter UK and Ireland. So as a result, we are stewards of that money and we take that responsibility very seriously. So as a result, during the judging of the competition, we have to think very carefully about the benefit to the chapter. And most notably, that's through the likes of transferable learning and resources that the whole chapter and perhaps even beyond can benefit from. To be eligible to enter the competition, you need to be a member of faculty, whether that's full-time or part-time, at a Prime signatory institution. So you need to be a signatory to Prime, and importantly, your institution is a paid-up member of the UK and Ireland chapter. So there is a £400 contribution that is made by members of the chapter, and that entitles them to a range of benefits, including voting rights. But in addition to that, it allows their faculty to enter the 2 faculty competitions. And so it's really a key benefit of paying that fee. If you're not sure whether your institution is a paid up member of the chapter, please do send an email to our colleague Jackie Hicken at prime@bcu.ac.uk and she can check that for you. So in terms of the funding that is available, it's awards to the value of £1,500. There's no set number of awards. Instead, a funding pot has been established this year. It's just been confirmed that it is £6,000. So that could obviously potentially allow us to make 5 awards of £1,500. What we've had in recent years is sometimes people seeking smaller amounts of money. So even though the funding pot is £1,500, if you've got something that you would like to do that maybe only takes £500, £600, £700, £800 or so, So, please do consider putting in an application nonetheless, because sometimes what that's allowed us to do is find the ability to fund maybe 5 or 6 projects. So last year, for example, we were able to fund 5 projects because some people needed a smaller amount of money to deliver the project that they wanted to. And finally, the last really important information on this slide, the deadline. It's Friday, the 10th of January at 5 o'clock. The application form is very straightforward. I think the total word count is between 1,000 and 1,200 words. And so as a result, I don't think it will take you an enormous amount of time to complete it. It's commensurate with the level of funding that is available, and hopefully plenty of time to get something submitted by the 10th of January. So in terms of the application form, you can access that via the Prime Chapter UK and Ireland website under the Funding and Competitions tab. And I really would encourage you either now or potentially after the session today to take a look at the application form. What you'll see is that in section 1, it's really the basic information, those essentials, such as the applicant's name and institution, their contact details. Project title, though we do understand that sometimes project titles can evolve a little bit over time, but please give us an indicative title for the project. And in addition, tell us exactly how much funding you are requesting. We also need you to confirm whether the institution is a prime signatory and a UK and Ireland chapter voting member. And again, if you're unsure about that, and we appreciate that it's not always something that you may have knowledge of, please either reach out to somebody within your institution or contact our colleague Jackie at Birmingham City University, where the Prime UK and Ireland chapter secretariat is based. In terms of the different elements of the application form, well, the majority of it is contained within section 2. So we ask you to please briefly describe the proposed project, specifically addressing its relevance to the objectives of Prime. So as I said, I've been involved in this since the outset and have seen really strong applications such as Sean's and also seen some weaker applications over the years. So I think in terms of 2.1, the things that I would really emphasise to you are to be really clear about what the project is intending to do. Sometimes it can even be helpful to show it to another person if you've got a colleague or a friend who'd be willing to look at it. Is it really clear what the project is intending to do? Sometimes we've opened them and read them and we actually don't know what the specific objectives or aims of the project is and how it might be operationalized. And then the other really important element here is make sure that it is relevant to the objectives of Prime. So really stress the responsible and sustainable business and management aspect to it. We have had applications over the years that have been about really interesting topics, but they're not related to Prime, and as a result, we're not in a position to fund them, although it might be well suited to another competition in higher education. 2.2, please describe any novel or innovative aspects to the pedagogic approach or teaching practice. So again, that's another really important aspect of it. It is an innovative pedagogy competition, so we need to see something that is novel or original or innovative about your application. And as I said, it could be that you're taking something that is applied in one context and applying it to sort of a new context or a new situation, and that can be acceptable, absolutely within the requirements of the competition, but it should be something that's a little bit different, a little bit new, something that people would potentially take notice of if they read about it. Tell us why the funding is needed and what it will be specifically used for. This is really important. It's actually where a number of applications, including really good applications, have fallen down over the years, is that they haven't told us why the funding is needed or given us a breakdown of what it would be used for. So as I mentioned, that we are the stewards of the funding that is provided to us by the voting members of the chapter. So as a result, we need to make sure that their money is well used. So we ask you to provide a breakdown of the funding. We've had people at times say, I need £1,500, I need £1,000, but they haven't told us what that would actually be used for. The strongest applications give us a breakdown of the funding. So say, for example, if it's in relation to room hire or catering for an event or transportation for guest speakers or things like that, do please try to give us a rough indication of what those costs might be. 2.5 is a project is interdisciplinary in nature. If yes, please describe. So this is not an essential aspect to it, but if your project does have an interdisciplinary element, please complete that box and give us a sense of what that looks like. It's a shorter box, as I said, it's not essential, but many projects today are interdisciplinary, so highlight that if it's a strength of your submission. And finally, 2.6, does the proposed project relate to an underrepresented area, for example, in your institution or more broadly? If yes, please describe. So like 2.5, 2.6 is not an essential element of the application, but certainly if it is relevant in your particular case, please tell us about it. But certainly 2.1 to 2.4 are the most important aspects of the application, and in particular those elements of being novel and original, describing the nature of the project and how it will be operationalised, and very importantly, telling us why you need the money and what you will use it for. So moving on to the next slide, the judging criteria. So how will we judge this? Well, I don't think this will come as any surprise based on the content of the previous slide. So one of the first and most important things is the relevance to the objectives of PRIME. Is the project aimed at enhancing, improving innovation within the context of responsible and sustainable business and management education? Criteria 2, is it novel? Is it innovative? Is it novel and innovative in terms of your particular area or discipline or within your institution? Please do tell us about that. Evidence of need for funding and a clear outline of what that funding will be used for. So as I stressed on the previous slide, please tell us exactly what funding you need and how you intend to use it. An important one, the generation of transferable learning or resources. So how will it be of benefit to the wider PRIME community? In terms of successful applications, those have varied very significantly over the years in terms of what they've delivered. It's included the likes of reports, it's included guides, videos, and all sorts of other creative ways to transfer learning and to create resources. We've had, as I'm going to explain on the next couple of slides, quite a lot of applications related to games and gamification of learning last year. So we expect to see those resources arrive with us over the course of the next number of months. It'll be another fantastic thing that we can hopefully share with the PRIME community. And finally, if it's relevant collaborative practice, is there opportunity for collaboration within and across institutions, particularly within the PRIME community? As I said, it's not a necessity for it to be interdisciplinary or underexplored or to be aligned with the PRIME Impactful 5 that Natasha and Sean will talk about. But certainly if there is an opportunity to showcase those elements, then I would really encourage you to do it. Just to give you some previous winners for a little bit of inspiration. So these are the winners from 2024. As I said, we were able to fund 5 projects last year, and you'll see a clear trend towards gamification and games-based learning last year. So we had David Anderson and Davina Bird at Lincoln International Business School, learning principles of responsible management through customized card games. So they're creating decks of and sets of cards that could be used within the classroom, which I think will be highly useful for other institutions across the PRIME community. Joanna Clancy at J. Cairns School of Business and Economics at University of Galway, A Better World Through Business, Responsible Management and Action. So what Joanna was doing was partnering with business networks within Galway and using those to engage and interact with students in order to enhance both the knowledge and the understanding of the students, but also to create more impactful engagement with business. Darren Jubb and Vicky Lambert-Lee Roberts at the University of Dundee, co-creation of a sustainability-based learning resource through stakeholder dialogue. So again, a game-based element, but what was really interesting with their work was it was bringing in a much wider range of stakeholders that would normally be involved in this type of activity. So team led by Rosalind Marin at Manchester Metropolitan University, developing spaces to flourish outdoor, indoor, eco-reflexive learning. So it was a very hands-on project that involved going out into nature and planting and engaging with the natural environment and using that to both really connect students into the environmental aspect of sustainability, but to get them also engaged with their local communities as well. And we were able to facilitate funding for that to happen. And finally, quite an international team at the bottom, led by Alessandro Merendino at Queen Mary University of London, but also bringing in Monash and Lincoln International Business School, co-designing critical and creative tools for embedding sustainability and the SDGs in the business school curriculum, creating a sustainability toolkit and playbook. So potentially some very exciting resources coming out as a result of this project. A thing that this emphasises is that firstly, it was a collaboration between 2 UK-based PRIME schools in the form of Queen Mary and also Lincoln International Business School, but they did bring in an international partner. So although this is the UK and Ireland chapter, and there has to be a clear benefit to schools within the UK and Ireland, if you do have an international partner, there's nothing to preclude them from being part of the application as long as the leads are based within the UK and Ireland and the main benefit is to the chapter. So final couple of points in relation to this before I open up for questions. Just remember that the focus is on innovative pedagogic approaches and teaching practices. So please do stress what makes your project novel, what makes it original, because that's the ones that we're really seeking to fund, and why it's of relevance to Prime specifically. Please, as I said, give that clear explanation of why funding is required and what it will be used for. As I said, we've had over the years, at least each year, maybe 2 or 3 really great applications, very innovative, highly relevant to Prime, but they haven't told us what the funding is going to be used for. And so we can't unfortunately accept those proposals. And try to be really explicit about the outcomes or the impact, particularly within section 4 around that transferable learning or resources. What do you hope to achieve from your project, and how might it ultimately be of benefit to the wider Prime community? What we have seen over the years, and actually increasingly so, is people using this funding as almost like a pilot study to get projects off the ground, and then be able to transfer it into larger scale funding applications. And certainly for a number of people, I've been told directly that it has been very helpful in terms of progression and promotion within their institutions. You also, if you're successful, will be awarded one free place at the 2026 Prime Chapter UK and Ireland Conference. Location of that is still to be confirmed. But it's an opportunity as well for you to share your research with the broader Prime community as well. So unfortunately, we can't cover likes of transportation costs, but we can cover the delegate fee for one person in relation to each project. That can be a great way for you to share your work. So just a final note that funding, if it will be released in stages and it's contingent on receiving a short interim report and a short final report, please don't be concerned about this. It's I used to work in European funding, so I am aware of sometimes the length of some of these reports. You will not be expected to produce a lengthy report. It'll be a shorter report. You'll maybe potentially around anywhere between kind of 600, 700 words. We're going to try to do it in a format that can be, say, for example, turned into a blog or a report. So it'll be an opportunity as well through those to share the work you're doing with a wider audience. So it's to serve 2 benefits. It's providing that update, helping you stay on track, but also helping to promote you and your work as well. And then the very last thing is written approval needs to be sought in advance about any deviation from planned activity. So we understand that things happen, and as a result, some aspect of your project need to be changed. Now, obviously, it needs to stay within sort of the broadly in alignment with your original application, but sometimes there needs to be slight amendments to it. If that's the case, then we need you to contact us in writing and make that request for a change, and we can bring it then to the chapter steering committee. And other than that, just to really wish people the best of luck with it. It's been an absolute pleasure to be involved in this over the last several years, to see incredible projects getting funded, and we hope to have some really interesting applications for the latest round of the competition. So I'm going to come out and stop sharing there, but if there's any questions, I think what I'll do is to allow people to speak openly. I'm going to stop the recording now, but if you are listening to this as a recorded session on the likes of YouTube, please do reach out to us at prime@bcu.ac.uk if you've got any questions related to the pedagogy competition. In addition, you can find all of the documents, including the application guidance, on the Prime Chapter UK and Ireland website.